Hello, so I am doing acknowledging historical and intergenerational trauma assignment 3.2. I'm trying to pack it into a short video. I live right on the border of, and this is talking about regional areas. I live right on the border of Mexico and United States in Yuma, Arizona. So a lot of in our region, our historical and intergenerational trauma comes from either being a Spanish speaker, some of the kids and things like that are bilingual. However, the older generations do not speak English. Refugees, immigrants, migrants, things like that. We actually have quite a few births that are Spanish speakers only. I've had to use like Google Translate and things like that during prenatal appointments, but my preceptor she's fairly good at speaking Spanish, and I'm working on it. We as a whole, are avoiding re-traumatizing these people by having a bilingual person on staff, respecting cultural differences, because there are several things that have come up that I didn't quite understand, and then it's explained to me, and it's like, oh, okay, this is like totally a cultural difference in the way that prenatal care is done, and birth and postpartum period, particularly the postpartum period. The Hispanic culture does things quite a bit different, and it's just cultural. I looked up an article. It's called "Applying Trauma-Informed Practices to the Care of Refugee and Immigrant Youth." This is kind of speaking directly to youth, but I think it can be applied to all people, that are migrants or immigrants or whatever. And they had 10 points in this article that I really liked, and I wanted to just share them really quickly. So I know the video is getting long. Practice a strength-based approach to care. This is like, when you're doing your initial consult and asking, instead of asking questions, try to navigate the questions in a positive way. Create an immigrant-friendly healthcare environment. We do have some resources available for immigrants, and we know a few people that work with immigrants only in a legal aspect, at resources and things like that. Promote trusting relationships within the healthcare environment. Ask for permission to discuss potentially difficult subjects. This comes up quite a bit when we talk about birth certificates and things of that nature. Recognize the impact of trauma on developing brain and various manifestations of trauma, and screen for trauma and associated mental health conditions. Treat trauma and its associated symptoms appropriately. Utilize a 2-generational approach to care. This is very important whenever we're speaking to a family who have cultural differences, and this stems down from generations through poverty, all kinds of, I'm trying to think of the word, but it's not coming to me. But anyways, that's really important, especially because a lot of our older generations do not speak Spanish at all. We have a couple people on staff that do speak Spanish, and I'm working on it. Know your local resources and make sure they're trustworthy. That's very important. We have a few resources for them. Recognize that trauma may not end after migration, and advocate for your patients both in and outside of your clinic, for your patients and for yourself. So I like those 10 points that the article brings out. And another thing that I thought was interesting is whenever you're assessing someone and you're asking who their support system is, instead of saying it in that manner, reword it to say something like, if something happened to you, who would be available to help? If something was exciting, who would you share it with? Things like that. I thought that was an interesting way of rewording things. And so anyways, I think that pretty much hit on everything, and talks about where I'm at and all of that. So yeah, our main point is to provide resources for people who are dealing with migration status or immigration, and make sure that we have a bilingual person whenever we do prenatal appointments and births and things like that with someone who's a Spanish speaker or primarily Spanish speaker. We always have our one coworker that's extremely fluent, but like I said, my preceptor is pretty fluent, but she is Hispanic, and not my preceptor, but the other person is Hispanic, and I think it just brings a level of comfort to the clients. That's about it. Thanks.